I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda?
No, not tonight.
Are there any corrections to the minutes of the meeting from January 19th, 2016? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the regular meeting from January 19th, 2016 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So those minutes stand approved. We move on to reports. I have a few things to report. I want to thank you for being here this evening. This is one of our regularly scheduled meetings. We meet on the first and the third Monday of the month. Although our next meeting will be conducted on Tuesday, is it February 16th?
Well,
Our next meeting?
yes.
It's a Tuesday.
I'm like, what?
Because Monday is President's Day holiday, so we'll be meeting on the Tuesday following the President's Day holiday. And we're only having one meeting in March due to the caucus election. For more information, you can visit our website, flinttownship.org. I wanted to bring to your attention, there is a water main break. I'll read the media release. Monday, February 1st, 1 southbound lane on Linden Road is closed for water main repairs at the intersection of Court Street and Linden Road. The closure will begin tonight at 7 p.m., which is starting now, today, Monday the 1st, and weather permitting will reopen Saturday, February the 6th. Motorists are advised to allow extra time to reach their destination. This has been posted on our website. What else has been posted on our website? I have a water quality report. It comes from the County Drain Commission. We've posted a link on our website that takes you to the Genesee County website. And I was going to talk a little bit about that because we've had several phone calls and inquiries about the quality of our water. And I mean, we all know that the city of Flint is struggling with water issues. And so I thought, who best to explain the quality of our water or our system than the Drain Commission themselves. So I'd like to introduce John O'Brien. He's the Deputy Drain Commissioner, and he's going to give us a report on where our water comes from and hopefully ease Flint Township concerns about the quality of their water. Thank you for being here this evening, John.
All right, thank you. As you said, there have been concerns about the water quality throughout Genesee County. I'd like to kind of go through a quick synopsis. Is right now, water from Detroit comes into the county at roughly Baxter and Potter Road. And then, so that's about Richfield Township, comes across the county into the city of Flint at their Dort water plant. Now, the county has water from Detroit. We pull our water off of that line. So we're pulling all our water off of the Detroit water system before it reaches the city of Flint. We then loop around the county. So we loop all the way around the county. So all of the 17 communities that we service are pulled off of those water lines. We do not have any interconnects between our distribution system and the city of Flint's. So in April of 2013, when the city of Flint chose to leave the Detroit system and go on to the Flint water, we continued and stayed with Detroit. So we continued to stay with Detroit. So we're continuing always to pull water off of that line. And then this last October, the city joined back onto the Detroit system. Again, they joined at the end of the pipe. So we're pulling off all at this point. They connected back on at the end of the point. So our water quality has been the same that we've had for the last 35 years. It's been the same water. We're getting it from the same source. We didn't change our water system. The phosphate that the city is adding is not going into our system. So we continued to stay with the existing water supply. Each year, we send out to all the customers our water quality report. This was the last one published last July. and we'll have another one coming out. As you can see, the big interest is lead. The reported value for lead is 15. Anything above 15 is a concern. Right now, the county's level, which includes Flint Township, we're at 2. So we're well below the 15 in our water supply. Now, the problem is a lot of people in Flint Township received this document, and we contacted the state police department. What they did was they took the zip codes for the city of Flint and mailed out these notices. And part of 48532 is in Flint, so anyone with a 48532 zip code received this postcard from the state saying, hey, call 211 or that. But if you read the document, if you're a Flint resident who's concerned, we are Flint Township residents, but we have a Flint Township mailing address. I even received one of these. So from that standpoint this was meant to go to City of Flint residents on City of Flint water lines, but it went to everyone with a 45832 zip code.
48532.
48532. So with that, the county continues, we sample our water. Like we do probably 130 samples a week. We maintain those on record, and each year we publish them in our documents and submit our reports to the state. So our water has not changed. Our water will not change until the Carrignandi water line is completed and the county's new water treatment plant is constructed. And that won't be till July of 2017. And even with that, the county, we've already done our pilot study on the lake. We have a pilot plant coming in, so we'll be operating that pilot plant for about a year before we turn on the water plant, and then we'll run the plant through what you call a shakedown cruise, make sure everything's operating properly before you turn it on and switch over. So we've always been on the Detroit water. We will stay on the Detroit water until we get an approval on a new water plant. So I don't know how else to ease people's concerns. There is question, can you get your water tested? Right now, the only thing we can suggest is call 211 to see if they'll do your water testing. If you're concerned about your health, our answer, and the only answer we can really give, is you need to contact your own medical professionals and discuss it with them.
Are there any questions for Mr.
Can I
O'Brien?
ask a question? Mr. O'Brien, I appreciate what you did, sending out literature on Mr. Wright. But why don't you put something in the journal or in the week?
The View.
No,
The View.
The View. I'm sorry, I said the wrong word. There's a lot of businesses here in Flint Township that have slipped a little bit, and they claim it's the water. I had 3 of them call me, and I got a letter from Mrs. Bonelli saying that Flint Township doesn't use Flint water, we use Detroit water, that it's clean. And why can't we notify the people? Because a lot of Flint residents come to Flint Township to eat or to drink water or to have a party, but how can we notify them? Through the journal. If you fellows would spend a few bucks putting it in the journal, and the same way, Wanda, with your paper.
Rhonda.
Wanda, isn't it?
Rhonda.
Rhonda,
Oh, Rhonda with an R?
yes.
You told me W.
No,
Anyway.
All right. I'm sorry, Rhonda. Put it in the week and put it in the journal saying, hey, Flint Township, we've got an investment here. And people got to know what kind of water we have. My wife doesn't know what kind of water until I told her, So that's
Yeah.
all. That's all. I meant.
We've done small press releases, and I know, again, we serve 17 communities. I know several of the communities have done it themselves also.
But John, when you send them out something like this with fine print, there's a lot of senior citizens can't see that, but they can read the paper. That's all. I'm sorry.
Do
No
we-
problem,
anyway.
Understood.
Do we have any other
I
questions
only
for
have a
Mr.
concern.
O'Brien?
That's all.
This information's on your website, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and it's on, Flint
Not
Township
everybody
has a
has a
link to our
computer.
website.
And we just
have a
put that
link
on
to your
today.
township, yeah, so.
So the one question I have is, we do know that there are some franchise customers, and it's due to us not having a water main down the border of the city of Flint. So it's roughly 50 customers, and they can know that they're a franchise customer, not only because we've notified them a couple years ago, but also their service address has the letters FCW, correct?
Yeah.
At the end of the address, it'll say FCW, that means Flint City Water. And we are working with the county and the city and the state, and the state police contacted me today, that USDA contacted us. We want to make sure that those 50 franchise customers are getting included in the resolution that the city and the state are offering for the water. I know we met for several hours today talking about how we make sure the businesses know our business corridor, Bristol Road, Miller Road, Linden Road, Corona Road, they're serviced by Flint Township Water. We buy the water from the Genesee County Drain Commission, and you get it from the Detroit water system. It's water from Lake Huron. But the people who border the city of Flint, we've been directing them to go through the 211, and they can get a kit to test, and they can get bottled water. They just moved all the locations. We talked to Commissioner Ted Henry today. Was it Ted Henry? And they said, or Jeff Wright, they moved the water distribution from the fire stations in the city to, where did they say they moved it to?
One church.
Oh,
Yeah, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel and the Breslin, was it the Breslin Center? Do you know, John? You
No,
don't
I
know
don't.
because you're not part of that water. So we're looking into making sure that those residents are part of the resolution, but for the majority of our customers, I mean, there's 13,000 water customers, and 50 are franchise customers. The rest of them are on water from Detroit.
Yes.
So, do we have any other questions for Mr. O'Brien?
I do have a question. I think you indicated about mid-2017, the new system will be online, and then we will be in the same water source as Flint, as the city. So, from what I read, Flint is going to require some additions to their water for quite a lengthy period of time in an effort to clean up the pipes and to stop the leaching. Will we be wrapped up in that system? How are you going to do that? You know, at the same time keep the non-Flint people on their own system?
And again, just like the water comes from Detroit, it comes in one pipeline, that water goes to Flint, and then the water comes to us. When you're talking the pipelines, that's the local distribution system. That's the pipe in the street, and then the service to the right-of-way line, and then the pipe from the right-of-way line into the house, and then the plumbing within the house. That is where the lead material is in the small 1-inch pipelines, not in the big mains. All of Flint Township's mains are ductile or cast iron with a cement lining. So we don't have a lead main pipeline. So where the lead is coming from is in those small service lines basically on the private property. So it's that. The water source that we're joining is Lake Huron. The problem with Flint was the Flint River. So they'll be going on to the Lake Huron water supply. And again, we have two separate plants. Their water treatment plant, and then a water treatment plant that'll serve the 17 communities in the county. So we'll still be separate, even though we're getting the raw water from Lake Huron in a joint pipeline.
Okey-doke.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? I wanted to thank you. I know it was around lunchtime that I called over because we had been inundated today with phone calls. I want to thank you for fitting us in your schedule and coming out this evening and addressing the board and answering those questions for us, or just reassuring us that our water's been from the same source for over 35 years. Thank you for doing that, Mr. O'Brien, and thank you for being here this evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So that's all I have for my report. Madam Clerk, do you have a report for us this evening?
I just want to remind everyone, we do have an upcoming election, which is March 8th. Last day to register to vote is February 8th, Monday, February 8th. This is our presidential primary election. And just as a reminder, if you are requesting an absentee ballot, on that application, under 1, you will need to declare whether you are getting a Democrat or a Republican ballot. Please pay attention to that when you're filling out that application, as we do have a few coming back that they don't check that off. We can't give you a ballot until we know which ballot you're requesting, so we have to take that application, try and find you or send it back to request that you do declare which ballot you want. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
Just a reminder on winter tax bills, they are due on February 28th. And a motion to pay the bills, please.
Is there a second to the motion to pay the bills?
Support.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none?
28th.
Okay, we'll say that's not part of the motion here. So the motion is to pay the bills. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Parker? Yes. Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Corch, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So before we move on, Madam Treasurer just wanted to make clear, did you say February 28th or 29th?
It is the 29th.
Tax bills are due the 29th, the last day of the month.
Can I just also say something, Madam Supervisor? Just a Michigan Voter Information Center, it's a good site to go to. It's michigan.gov/vote. View your sample ballots there. Find it out if you are a registered voter or not. Find your voting locations and track your absentee ballot and much more. It's a good website to view if you're interested.
We have a link on our website.
Yes.
Just show that. Did you show it?
Oh.
For Terry to put it on the, so you can find that on our website, front page, flinttownship.org. So we move on to trustees. Do we have any trustee reports this evening?
I have, if no one else has. I feel bad about this water system with the city of Flint. It's hard to believe the trauma that those people are going through, waking up in the morning and trying to brush their teeth or take a shower. I know what happens there affects this township because we have the Flint name. And I've heard of people wanting to build something here in Flint, but they think, well, you're in Flint, everything is negative in Flint. But we're not in Flint, we're in Flint Township. Well, they're associated somehow. I know years back, Madam Supervisor, there was a committee, I know it failed years ago, but Auburn Hills was Pontiac. Auburn Hills has flourished the last 5 years with factories, office buildings, and population. And I'm thinking of protecting Flint Township. I wonder if there's any thought about changing the name. It might reduce insurance premiums. It might reduce insurance premiums. And it might create jobs because people will think, well, it's XYZ community. And is there such a committee existing, or is?
We had, like you said, several years ago, and I don't know how many years ago was that, 8, 10, 12 years ago, there was a committee put together that looked into the idea of a name change. And then in 2011 or 12, a couple of the people from that original committee approached me and asked me to reconvene. And we met once or twice and no further. But if this township board would like us to reconvene that committee to see what we want to do with that, where we want to go. We can get some of our residents together and get their opinions.
I only brought it up just to look into it, to see if there's any value in it that can help this community and the people in it. And I'm willing to go along with that committee, that if you got that committee, I think, see if they can come up with some ideas that we're overlooking. That's the only thing.
Well, we do have people who are on that committee, but like I said, we haven't had any action from that committee. We can ask them to meet again, and are you saying you're willing to be a part of that committee?
Well, if they don't work on weekends and holidays.
So
What's good for the goose is good for the gander, that's what they say.
I can make some phone calls. I want to talk to our attorney, Peter Goodstein.
Am I making phone calls? I haven't
No,
made.
I'll make phone calls to the people who served on that committee
Yes.
and to Peter Goodstein, and we can see if we can meet, and we can hopefully post it on our website, and I don't know if
You wanna
Rhonda would put something in the View about anyone interested in serving on a committee to look at the possibility of a name change for the township. We can do that, and times for the meeting will be forthcoming.
We don't need a motion for that, do we?
No, I don't think so. We
Okay.
have a committee. Anything else, Mr. Menudis?
No, I'm all done for the evening.
Trustee Castle?
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yes, Madam Supervisor. At the last meeting, I indicated, or I questioned whether it might be possible to better our interest rates with longer terms or different type of investments. I just want to indicate that the treasurer has indicated to me before the meeting that she is still working on that, and she will perhaps give some comments on it at our next meeting.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you. No.
This way, any trustee reports? No. Trustee Vert? Alrighty, so then we'll move on to general reports. Chief Sippert, do you have a report for us this evening?
I would just like to point out some of the generosity of one of our Flint Township businesses, that being the Home Depot. About a month ago, or within the last month, they approached the police department, and I know they also approached the fire department and the township with some donations. For us, they gave us 3 5-gallon buckets of salt, 18 gallons of washer solvent, a whole box full of ice scrapers, and also hand warmers. And that helps us save money at the police department, and we appreciate what they do for us. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Anything else in your report? No? Thank you, Chief Sippert. Assistant Chief Berkeley?
Yes, approximately a week ago tonight, we were called into duty up at Sunridge Apartments just before 1 a.m. It'd be Tuesday morning. Firefighters arrived on location just prior to 1 o'clock, showing heavy fire coming from a basement, spreading into the hallway, which is the exit path for the residents of the 12-unit apartment building. Sergeant McClanahan was at Station 2 on duty that night. Arrived very quickly. Our on time was just over 2 minutes out the door from dispatch. Arrived to find people hanging from the balconies, jumping from the windows, crawling out. Flint Township Police arrived on very shortly after, assisted in getting the residents out of the house or out of the apartment building. There was quite an effort, or a joint effort between police and fire in helping that. Sergeant McClanahan had to get some people off a balcony with a ladder. We summoned help from City of Flint, Morris Township, and that soon expanded into a mutual aid coordination of the county, which we then bring in county chiefs and officers to coordinate personnel for this fire. Shortly after, I can't say shortly after, but within a half hour after the city engine arrived in Morris Township, we had approximately a dozen firefighters from our department on the scene. We got a good grasp and a knockdown on the fire. Our guys did a phenomenal job keeping it to basically the sub-basement apartment, and it burnt through the subfloor and held it into the second area there. So a lot of the apartments you walked in, if the door was closed, it was just smelled like smoke to the north side. It destroyed 2 completed apartments. 5 residents were taken to the hospital for breathing and springs. 2 firefighters were sent to the hospital for smoke inhalation, and all of them were released. One was from our department, and another one was from Mount Morris Township. Very, very hot fire. A tremendous amount of smoke was produced from this fire. Again, it was quite a good coordination effort from police, EMS, the 911 dispatcher. If you go to some of the Facebook pages, there's a complete audio of the fire. Amazing what goes on. When I'm on scene, I'm only on 1 or 2 fire frequencies. There's police, EMS, dispatch going on. A lot of people coordinating just for that incident. And it was pretty amazing if you step back and look at it. So in a whole, everybody did a fabulous job on working together as EMS, fire, police, to help the assistance of all the people up there. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. So I know Home Depot also delivered and donated
Yes, they
some
did.
stuff.
They
to-
3 buckets of rock salt and some hand warmers, which we put them on our engines for our cold nights. We've had some mighty cold nights here. But
So I know they also donated some items here to the township, and we'll get a formal letter of thanks sent to them
absolutely, thank you.
for the fire and police department and the township. And Madam Clerk, we can get that out this week, yes? Thank you very much. Alrighty, so that wraps up general reports. We'll move on to public comment. If you'd like to address the board, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the board.
Good evening. I'm Gene Leverett, 5210 Scenic View Drive, Flint, Michigan 48532. And I'm a concerned citizen and resident. And what I'd like to respond to, I heard Trustee Menudas talk about changing the name. Having a committee. I know that it was a committee. And you all talked about resuming the committee, right? My comment on that is, I'm a property owner, my church, and I have families that are residents of the city of Flint. And I think that if we're going to concentrate on such a thing as helping the city of Flint, I think we need to take that energy that we're talking about resuming that committee and concentrate that energy and focus that energy on helping Flint formulate a solution to this water crisis. And I have some ideas that I talked with Madam Supervisor Miller about, and I think that we need to, at this time, focus on some of those ideas that I have. I talked with Supervisor about, and as well, if we're going to do anything, I think that we should concentrate on that effort. Because that's our neighboring city, right? So, and I understand what Trustee Castle was talking about. I've heard that, I've seen that report from Auburn Hills and Pontiac. And it was a help to them. But we have a crisis at hand right now. I think we need to do something a little bit different. Thank you.
Mr. Leverett.
Just a little clarification, it wasn't me, it was him that was talking about.
Oh,
I said Trustee Menudas.
Ah,
Okay.
I
okay.
said that you, I think that was a good idea, but to help them in the future, help us in the future, and it helped Auburn Hills as well. So, and I'd like to be a part of that committee.
thank you.
Kevin Stiff, G4020 Corona Road, the dive shop. At the last meeting, you had Kevin Keene from the Consumers Power here. And he talked about the lighting and going to the LED and things. And I know a month or two ago that Tracy had said something about keeping an eye on the lights. On an average, from Graham Road to Dye Road, there's 20 lights out. And then I think that was stated that $60 a month per light. So on Saturday night, I drove down Miller Road, and there was 49 lights out on Miller Road. And again, that's an awful lot of lights. And we didn't get a chance to verbally talk to Mr. Keene about it, but that's a windfall for Consumers Power. And I hope when you must have to sign a contract with consumers. And I hope that when you do sign this contract that you guys do a better job at managing the maintenance program, because when you start adding this up, 20 lights on Corona Road and over 40 lights on Miller Road, and then I lost track of how many lights on Linden Road. There was 35, and I had a little altercation with somebody else driving, and so I quit counting. It's like trying to text at the same time counting lights. We're spending so much money that we could literally hire a electrical contractor to service our own lighting, and we would come out ahead, with this. So I hope when this comes around and they do this lighting, I hope that when you sit down to negotiate something, that you just don't throw a pile of cash on the counter and say, well, just go ahead and do this, that you actually have stipulations in these contracts that say that they're going to take a little bit better view of what they're doing maintenance-wise, because I count the lights every night. And then for Mr. Menudas, when he was talking about the businesses being questioned about the water, I've got 31,000 gallons of water down at the dive shop, and yes, I have been asked when people sign up for dive classes where I get my water from, because one, they don't want to swim in the pool, or do they want to swallow some of it. And when I'm talking to somebody in Texas, or I'm sending a customer to Florida, and their question is, my God, how do you guys stay in business in Flint, Michigan? Now we've got the water crisis, and we had the murder capital, and we were drug capital, and then we had a serial killer, and it's amazing. I kind of actually go along with a name change, it might help a little bit. I'm struggling business, and every time they hear Flint, you just kind of go, ugh, so I kind of stick up for George there on that.
Thank you, Mr. Sipp. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? No? All right, if no one else wants to address the board, we'll move on to action items. Action item A is to consider hiring an assistant assessor to fill the budgeted vacant position. And we have our Assessor Bill Fowler here to respond or to report a few of the things that we're going to be doing with our new assessor, and any questions, he'll answer any questions that you might have. So Bill, do you want to tell us about the person that we want to hire?
Well, we went through basically a posting of the position, both internally and externally. We advertised through the Michigan Assessor Association magazine on their website. We had 4 applicants that applied for the position. 2 of the applicants were from Genesee County area, 2 were from the Oakland County area. After extensive interviewing and review of their resumes and their references, we have made a selection of Miss Paula Dotson for recommendation to the board for the position of deputy assessor within the assessor's office. Paula currently is the interim deputy assessor for the city of Flint. She has been on staff there since 2006. She is a Michigan certified advanced assessing officer, which is basically the old level 3. She is shown through her current employment to be a very knowledgeable, very dedicated employee. It's sort of like a double-edged sword for me. I have her come here in Flint Township if the board does approve, but then I lose her as my deputy in the city of Flint. But I think that the township board and the community will find her to be a very strong asset for not only the community but also for the township officials.
So everyone has received information on the duties of the deputy assessor position and the compensation package. There's one thing that was brought to our attention that I think that needs to be addressed and changed is the vacation leave after having worked here after the 105 hours should be after 5 years of service and 140 hours after 10 years of service. That's the only thing that I see that needs to be changed on the compensation package. And if we're so inclined, a motion would be in order to move forward.
Question.
Yes?
You mentioned 5 years.
Yes. You have, that's what you earn is 105 hours after 5 years of service.
Okay. I have one question to Mr. Fowler, if I can.
Sure.
Is Paula Dodson, is there a nepotism involved in the township? She got a relative here or anything, works for the fire department or?
As far as I know, she only has an allegiance to the U of M.
Oh, I beg your pardon?
She doesn't say roll tide.
Are you sure? What, which, I'm a state man, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
thank you.
I'm green also, so.
That's all right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Fowler?
I'd just like to ask, is there a starting date to her employment, her
Yes.
proposed employment?
22nd.
We anticipate February the 22nd, which will be the beginning of a new pay period.
And is there a certain term, 1 year or whatever?
6 months.
She's an at-will employee.
I see that it's a
6 months.
6 months probationary period, correct?
That's correct.
I move that we hire Paula Dotson as our deputy assessor as recommended by William Fowler.
Is there a second to that motion?
Support.
Either,
I'll just put
Give
George,
it
if
to
you don't.
whoever.
I'll give it to you, George.
No,
That's all right.
are there any questions regarding the motion?
I just have one, I have one question regarding the base salary. The $60,000, is that, something that was just established, or has that always been the base for the previous, person?
It's actually a salary less than the outgoing deputy made, and it's also a pay cut for her to come here.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. I can't support this position because again, it doesn't go along with the feasibility study, which we still haven't addressed in this department. It's pretty clear that there were some changes that needed to be made in the assessment department, and we haven't addressed them at all.
I do believe we have addressed them. We've, if you want to say, speak to that point at all?
Well, we can re-emphasize our points that we made at the last time we came to the board for the appointment of an employee, is that we have looked at the concerns that were expressed in the study, and that we have made a realignment of duties and responsibilities within the division. I think that Trustees Vert's concerns may be the consolidation with municipalities that border us. Schwartz Creek and Mundy Township was also participated in that study. Schwartz Creek currently contracts outside, and Mundy Township just currently lost their assessor, who elected to take a position in Ann Arbor. So they're in basically no position to provide any additional services to us. And if we were to provide service to them, it would completely dilute the services that we provide to this community. So we are in-house realigning. We have taken duties that were that previously were assigned to Nermina and that were more of a clerical nature that were cited, and have assigned that to our clerical staff, not our professional staff. Our professional staff is in the field predominantly every day, verifying records, working on building permits that come down, demolition permits, exemption applications. So their activities are more designed into the professional. The deputy's position is a two-pronged. Not only will they be in the field part of the time, but they also will be running the major operations within the office, especially when I'm not there. They concentrate on the small claims tribunal decisions and appeals that are currently being filed at the state level by our taxpayers. And then we have the full tribunal, which I have assumed responsibilities of and maintaining that particular workload. And in doing so, we've been able to minimize the amount of need that we've had to use outside legal counsel.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for Mr. Fowler? Or on this motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the hiring of Paula Dotson with the recommended compensation package.
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Corch, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menounos?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
No.
Mrs. Parker?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item B, Chief Sippert.
You have in your board packet a correspondence that I put together that details the purchases that I'm asking for. This year is a little bit out of the ordinary in that we're asking for 7 vehicles as opposed to 4. Generally, we ask for 4 new patrol vehicles, part of our rotation schedule. This year, we're asking for 3 additional vehicles, which will be used as investigative and administrative vehicles. And we don't always ask for those. It's been quite a few years since we have, because those vehicles are not driven in the same manner as our patrol vehicles, or driven as often, so they last longer. But all these vehicles are replacement vehicles. I do want to point out, though, that 2 of the patrol vehicles that I've proposed purchasing will be in addition to our current fleet. We are in the process of hiring and increasing the size of the police force, so that will necessitate another 2 patrol vehicles so that we don't run short. And also would like to point out that even though we are ordering these vehicles now, which is just what we did last year, the last vehicle I think came into service November. It takes that long for the vehicles to be delivered from the factory and then run into a bottleneck at the vendor that builds the vehicles up, adding all the emergency equipment, because around the state there are only so many vendors and they all seem to get to work at the same time. So there's kind of a bottleneck. So even though we're asking for the vehicles now, it will roughly take about 10 months to get all those vehicles into service. And so I respectfully ask the board to approve the purchase of these 7 vehicles for a total price of $226,848.
Is there a motion to do so?
Support.
No, I didn't make the motion. I'm asking. You're making the motion?
Yes, I'll make
Is there a
the
second
motion.
then?
Second.
Any questions for Chief Sippert?
Question. Chief, on this vehicle, bid enclosed specifications, it says cost of the vehicle, $37,727. Is that, am I looking at the right page?
Yes,
For a 216 Chevrolet Tahoe.
correct.
The police chief got a bid for $36,609. That's almost $1,000 less.
And we anticipated that question coming up because we spoke quietly as the meeting had already started. He orders some different options. For instance, we order spotlights on ours. He doesn't order spotlights on his. We have a push bar on the front. He doesn't have a push bar. So there are some
Well,
minor options.
you don't push cars, do you?
No, we generally don't.
Okay. So you have extra equipment on it
Yes,
that
yeah.
he doesn't?
Right.
Okay.
The cars that these cars are replacing, what's going to happen with those?
Those cars we auction off, and that money comes back into the township. It doesn't, it comes back into the general fund. It doesn't come back into the police department.
That's true of any vehicle, the police department or the fire department. We go through an auction process.
Yes.
And that money comes back to, it doesn't go back into your budget, it comes back into general fund, doesn't it?
Unless you want to give it back, we'll take it back, but you know.
So, any other questions for Chief Sippert? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the approval to purchase 7 budgeted replacement police vehicles at a cost of $226,848.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Scorch, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menoudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item C is for you, Chief Sippert.
Again, I provided you with a request for the promotion of Sergeant Kevin Salter to police lieutenant. We know that there was an opening created in the lieutenant rank with the retirement of Lieutenant Battenkoff last year. This is filling that position. Sergeant Salter's been with our department since 1999, and he has served on a variety of assignments. Most recently, he's been our detective sergeant, where he supervises the investigations on a day-to-day. And he's got his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Ferris State University, and he most recently graduated from the Northwestern University School of Staff and Command. He graduated from that in December. So I recommend and request that he be promoted to police lieutenant.
And is there a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support with a question.
Yes.
Shoot.
Ferris State, yes.
No, it doesn't. I won't say it. I got the answer.
Okay.
I misread it.
Are there any other questions? No? No further discussion. Madam Clerk, roll call please on promoting Sergeant Kevin Salter to the rank of lieutenant.
Ms. Scorch, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menoudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The swearing-in ceremony will be tomorrow morning at 8:30 at the police department, and if you're available, you're all welcome to attend.
It's downstairs in the roll call room?
Yes. Yep.
Alrighty. Thank you. Last action item is all yours, Assistant Chief Berkeley.
Well, thank you. In your packet, you also find a request for a fleet vehicle, and this is in the replacement schedule that I put out when we got our millage on apparatus replacement schedule. This will replace a 2003 Ford with over 100,000 miles on it, and it's again in high maintenance costs to maintain that vehicle. I request to the board that you approve a measure to replace this vehicle at $36,609.85.
Thank you. Is there a motion to move forward?
Move approval.
Is there a second? Trustee Vert seconded that. Are there any questions for Assistant Chief Berkeley?
Question. You told me you're getting rid of a Ford to get a Chevy.
Yes, sir.
Don't we have Chevrolet dealers here in Flint?
Yes, we do.
Can't they meet you at that price?
No, they cannot.
Oh, you checked it out?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No more questions.
No further discussion?
No further discussion.
Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the purchase of the budgeted utility staff vehicle for the fire department in the amount of $36,609.85.
Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Cortez, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I just wanted to let the trustees know that we've been in discussion with Assistant Chief Berkeley on moving forward on any other, following the schedule of replacement vehicles, so more information will follow. So with no further business and without objection, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
We taught him how to hit a baseball. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?